Let's begin with a feeling you know too well. You finally get the thing you said you wanted. The relationship, the opportunity, the peace, the clarity, and instead of relaxing into it, you pull away. You get anxious, irritable, suspicious. You overthink. You procrastinate. You push it until it breaks. And then, with a strange mix of shame and relief, you whisper, "I knew it wouldn't last." This isn't self-sabotage because you're broken. This is self-sabotage because you've been split. And no one explained that split better than Carl Jung. Jung said the human psyche doesn't actually care about success, or comfort, or feeling good. What it wants is integration, the reintegration of the self. And if the life you're building is based on a false self, if the good you're chasing is out of sync with your inner truth, your unconscious will step in, not to ruin your life, but to correct it. Let's say this again. Self-sabotage is not self-destruction. It's self-protection. It's the psyche protecting an old identity. Here's how it happens. You grew up adapting. You learned who to be to get love, avoid pain, stay safe. You built a persona, what Jung called the social mask. Maybe you became the achiever, the caretaker, the funny one, the invisible one, the fixer, the strong one who never asks for help. And it worked. But years later, when something good shows up, something healthy, supportive, real, it threatens the old story. Because to receive it, you'd have to let go of the identity that kept you alive. And that feels like death. So you don't sabotage the thing. You sabotage your ability to be the version of yourself who can hold it. On the outside, you look like you're functioning. But inside, there's a civil war. Your conscious self says, "I want love, I want success, I want peace." But your unconscious self says, "If we let that in, we're exposed. We're unsafe. We're no longer who we had to be." And so the system collapses. Not because you're weak, but because your nervous system is loyal to your survival identity. Jung believed this inner conflict is at the core of all neurosis. Not madness, but misalignment. You say you want something new, but you're still organized around the old wound. And the unconscious will fight to protect what it believes is true. This is what Gay Hendricks called the upper limit problem. You reach a new level of love, success, or ease, and then unconsciously sabotage it. Why? Because it doesn't match your internal thermostat. You're emotionally calibrated for chaos, for lack, for tension. Peace feels foreign. Praise feels threatening. Love feels like a trap. You tell yourself, "This is too good to be true. They'll leave when they see the real me. I'm going to mess this up anyway." But these aren't random thoughts. They're echoes from your inner world, beliefs inherited, absorbed, reinforced. Jung would say, these voices belong not to the adult you're becoming, but to the shadow you haven't faced. The origin of the saboteur. Before you ever sabotaged love, success, or peace, you protected something more important: attachment, survival, belonging. That's where the saboteur was born, not in rebellion, but in loyalty. This is the truth people miss. You didn't sabotage your life because you're lazy, afraid, or undisciplined. You sabotaged because somewhere along the way, you learned that joy has a price, that receiving safely wasn't safe, that being fully seen came with consequences. Let's get this clear. You were trained. Trained to lower your expectations. Trained to preempt disappointment. Trained to feel guilt around ease. Trained to believe struggle meant worth. That training became a role, a script, a mask. It helped you stay emotionally invisible around unstable parents, get praise for overachieving, avoid rejection by not asking for too much, feel control by expecting loss before it happened. And that role worked. But now you're an adult, and the role keeps running. It turns opportunity into anxiety, love into suspicion, success into panic. That's not sabotage. That's old wiring in a new world. Jung said that whatever we do not consciously bring into our life appears as fate. In other words, what we suppress becomes our operating system. And the saboteur lives beneath a hidden contract. One you didn't consciously agree to, but one that still dictates your behavior. If I stay small, I stay safe. If I don't expect too much, I won't be disappointed. If I don't let people in, they can't hurt me. If I lose it before they take it, I win. This is the real sabotage. Keeping yourself loyal to the version of you that the world once demanded. And until you rewrite the contract, your unconscious will keep enforcing it. Here's the trick. Your saboteur doesn't destroy you maliciously. It's trying to help, to keep your identity intact, to keep life predictable, to keep you from the pain you haven't faced yet. Because real change, it's chaos. It threatens the ego's illusion of control, and the saboteur says, better to ruin this on our terms than lose it on theirs. So you send the text that pushes them away. Procrastinate until the opportunity passes. Criticize yourself before anyone else can. Downplay your wins so you don't have to feel the pressure of keeping them. It's not weakness, it's control. And it comes from fear. But here's the twist. The part of you that sabotages is often the part of you that was never protected. The inner child that was abandoned. The teenager who had to grow up too fast. The creative voice that was ridiculed. The real self that was punished for existing. And until that version of you feels safe, you'll keep trying to succeed as the mask. Which means every breakthrough feels fake. Every joy feels temporary. Every safe moment feels like the setup for betrayal. Because success doesn't land in your life until it's allowed into your nervous system. The hidden strategies of self-sabotage. By now, you know the saboteur isn't the enemy. It's a pattern, a protector, a role you learned to play to survive environments that didn't honor your truth. But here's where it gets tricky. It doesn't show up screaming. It whispers. It reasons. It offers you just enough logic to convince you that you're just being careful. That's how it wins. Because self-sabotage rarely looks like a breakdown. It looks like, I'm just being realistic. I don't want to get my hopes up. This isn't the right time. I'll wait until it's perfect. I'm just tired today. The sabotage is rarely loud. It's rational, believable, soothing, which is why you have to know how to spot it. The saboteur's 4 favorite disguises. 1. Perfectionism. This one wears a gold medal. It says, you're not avoiding your dream. You're just not ready yet. You'll do it when it's better. This sounds wise, but here's the truth. Perfectionism is procrastination dressed as ambition. Because the moment you start actually doing the thing, the ego feels vulnerable. So instead of finishing, you refine. Instead of releasing, you revise. It's not about quality, it's about control. The saboteur loves this because it gives you the illusion of progress without any of the risk of being seen. 2. Overthinking. You call it being thorough, but it's fear. When you overanalyze every move, when you replay that conversation 10 times, when you need one more piece of validation before acting, that's the saboteur keeping you stuck in the safety of indecision. Because action creates exposure. And exposure means your real self might get rejected, criticized, misunderstood. Better to think about it a little longer, right? Wrong. Overthinking is your brain trying to outsmart vulnerability. And it never works. 3. Self-isolation. You pull away. You stop texting back. You skip the meeting. You tell yourself, I just need space. But often it's not space you need, it's safety. And when you've spent your life protecting your wounds, connection feels dangerous. The saboteur knows this, so it convinces you that you're safer alone. That way, no one can disappoint you. No one can see the cracks. No one can get close enough to threaten the persona you've built. But isolation isn't protection. It's emotional self-erasure. 4. Crisis addiction. This is the most hidden one. If life gets calm, you create chaos. If things are stable, you get restless. If love feels real, you start finding problems. Why? Because your body is addicted to the emotional chemistry of stress. It doesn't feel like home unless something's burning. So you unconsciously recreate the chaos you once survived, because that's the only thing your nervous system still believes is safe. Jung called this repetition compulsion. The psyche repeats unresolved trauma until it becomes conscious. And until you interrupt it, you'll keep mistaking panic for purpose. The pattern isn't personal, it's programmable. None of this makes you broken, it makes you trained. And the good news? What was trained can be retrained, but only if you catch it. How to interrupt the saboteur in real time. The moment you feel the pull to sabotage, pause. Ask these 3 questions. 1. Who in me is speaking right now? Is it the child protecting themselves? The achiever terrified of failure? The people-pleaser avoiding disapproval? 2. What is this moment trying to recreate? An old feeling of chaos? Rejection you've memorized? The comfort of not being seen? 3. What would the version of me I'm becoming do instead? Not the safe answer, the true one. Then do the opposite of the instinct, not to fight the saboteur, but to retrain your nervous system to feel safe with expansion. The nervous system and the fear of receiving. You've done the work. You've visualized, affirmed, manifested. You've journaled, reflected, reprogrammed. But when the good finally arrives, real love, real rest, real recognition, you freeze, tense, collapse, shut down. You don't sabotage because you don't want it. You sabotage because your body doesn't know how to hold it. This is the missing link. Your mind may say yes, but your nervous system still screams no. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." But the unconscious isn't just psychological, it's physiological. That means your nervous system is part of your story. It remembers every time. You got close and were abandoned. You felt joy and were punished. You tried to be seen and were shamed. You spoke your truth and were silenced. And now, even decades later, the body still associates goodness with danger. This is why love feels threatening. You crave deep connection. But the moment someone really sees you, you flinch. You question their motives. You start pulling away. Why? Because the body has a rule. When I was fully seen, it hurt. So it protects you. Even if the threat is gone, the reflex remains. And until you retrain that reflex, the pattern repeats. This is why you keep chasing what you're not prepared to receive. There's a ceiling inside your nervous system. A limit on how much joy, love, safety, or success you believe you're allowed to feel. You might not even realize it until things get better. Suddenly, you pick a fight for no reason. You sabotage the connection. You create new problems. You shut down emotionally. Not because you're broken, because your body is exceeding its familiarity threshold. It doesn't feel like too much good. It feels like foreignness, and foreignness triggers defense. Emotional safety must come before expansion. Here's the key. You can't heal in a body that's in a constant state of threat. You can't expand when your system equates growth with danger. You can't receive when your body still thinks visibility equals attack. So before the mind expands, the body must exhale. Before the soul says yes, the nervous system must unclench. This is why so many people do the inner work, but nothing sticks, because it wasn't integrated into the felt experience of safety. How to train your body to receive the good. Start small, start gentle. Start now. 1. Notice when goodness triggers tension. When someone compliments you, do you tense? When a plan works, do you downplay it? When life gets calm, do you get restless? That's the reflex. Catch it. Breathe into it. Name it out loud. This is unfamiliar, but it's safe. 2. Expand your capacity by 2%. Don't force massive change. Stretch slowly. Let yourself hold just 2% more joy, calm, or visibility. Say, I can allow this moment to be good. I don't need to sabotage this just to feel familiar. Repeat that daily. The system adapts through gentle repetition, not force. 3. Anchor safety in the body. When goodness arrives, ground it. Place a hand on your chest. Breathe deeply. Feel your feet. Say, I can be with this. You're teaching the body. This is no longer the past. That's the real work. Not chasing more, but becoming safe enough to hold it. Becoming the one who no longer sabotages. Here's the truth. No one tells you. Healing isn't about stopping sabotage. It's about no longer needing it. Because once you become the version of yourself who feels safe with success, safe with love, safe with being seen, the saboteur has no more job. It was never your enemy. It was your protector. And now you've outgrown the danger. Now you integrate. This isn't a fix. It's a return. Carl Jung's work wasn't about fixing the psyche. It was about making it whole again. And to become whole, you don't have to conquer the shadow. You have to befriend it. You have to say, I see what you were doing. I see how you tried to help. But I don't need you to run the show anymore. You don't exile the saboteur. You give it a new role. It's no longer in charge. Now, the self is. Jung called the self the totality of your psyche, all parts integrated. It's not an image. It's not a role. It's the you that can hold joy without guilt, success without sabotage, peace without panic. The self has nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to protect. Because the self doesn't live from fear. It lives from truth. And here's the secret. You've already felt it, in glimpses. Those rare moments where you spoke clearly, without apology. You rested without guilt. You received without shrinking. You said no and didn't over-explain. You showed up fully and didn't flinch. That was the self. Your job now is to live from that place on purpose. Let's make this real. Here's a simple daily structure that rewires your identity to align with expansion, not protection. 1. The morning check-in. Ask, who am I becoming today? What old pattern might try to hijack me, and what do I choose instead? Name it, anchor it, lead from it. 2. The saboteur audit, evening. Each night ask, where did the saboteur whisper today? Where did I act from the self instead? Track this for 7 days. Watch the shift happen, not in theory, but in behavior. 3. Somatic anchor of expansion. Each time something good happens, place your hand on your chest, take a breath, say, this gets to stay. Do it again and again, until goodness no longer feels foreign, until you don't just survive peace, you embody it. It's not getting the thing, it's becoming the one who can hold it. The love doesn't matter if you shrink around it. The success doesn't matter if you self-punish to keep it. The peace doesn't matter if your body still thinks calm is unsafe. So the win is not external. The win is being able to feel safe in your own expansion. That's how you know the saboteur is retired. Not because it vanished, but because you finally led from somewhere deeper. You never lacked desire. You never lacked vision. You lacked safety. And now? You're building it, daily, deliberately, deeply, and every time you catch the sabotage pattern, every time you breathe instead of bolt, every time you let the good land without guilt, you're sending this signal through your entire system. It's okay now. We're allowed to live. We're allowed to receive. We're allowed to stay. That's not just mindset. That's individuation. That's Jung's real message, not to chase perfection, but to come home to your whole self,